Welcome to another episode of Sanford Says. My name is Lisa Holder, and I'm the Communications Officer for the City of Sanford. Today's topic for the Sanford Says podcast is Habitat for Humanity. We have a very special guest with us, Kelly Pisciotta. She's the current Chief Operating Officer for Habitat for Humanity of Seminole-Apopka, and Kelly has been a housing provider for 26 years with extensive experience in nonprofits, fundraising activities, advocacy, lobbying, and working with local and state legislators. Kelly is a certified housing counselor and is certified in fundraising and philanthropy from Rollins College. Welcome, Kelly.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
So today we're going to be talking about housing. And 1 in 7 households in Central Florida are paying half or more of their income on housing. Over the next several years, Habitat set forth an ambitious goal to improve home affordability in our community. And drawing on the strengths of their community and our community, Kelly is going to address their goals through policy and system changes at the local, state, and federal level. Welcome again to the show. Habitat for Humanity is the topic today. Kelly, let's start off with explaining maybe what the mission is of Habitat for Humanity.
Absolutely. So the mission of Habitat for Humanity is basically to provide safe, decent housing for families. And so what we look at is that not only being and providing that, but we look at ourselves as like one little spoke in the wheel of being able to assist families to help to give them a hand up, not a handout. And basically try to break the cycle of poverty is what we're trying to work towards.
Okay, and so can you go into a little bit more detail? I know that you've been in the community for several years. You've seen a lot of progress in the city of Sanford, and there are some projects here that we're specifically going to be talking about today, correct?
Yes, that is correct. So, our organization, which we call in Habitat World, we call ourselves affiliates. So what we do is that we cover all of Seminole County and the Apopka area. And we've been around since 1991. And since that time, we've actually assisted over 182 families. And I can tell you that probably 60 to 70% of those families that we have served in that time have been in Sanford. So we've actually, and one of the things that I've enjoyed since I've been at this affiliate is that I've actually enjoyed seeing the progress that Sanford is making. Not only in the affordable housing arena, but all the way around with economic development and everything else that goes hand in hand. Because honestly, transportation, economic development, housing, all of those things intertwine with each other when you start talking about affordability. So currently, we are working on 2 houses here in the city of Sanford on West 3rd Street. And the exciting thing, and this is very good timing, the exciting thing is that actually on February the 20th, we're going to be dedicating those homes to our families.
Okay.
So what we do is we do a celebration, that brings back the volunteers that help to build the house, bring in the church group for the family that's going to be in the home. And I can tell you, and I encourage anybody that's listening to attend a dedication if they've never done it, because it is extremely heartwarming. It can be that you've had the worst day, and then you come and you watch a family receive the keys to their new home, and one of the children who may have never had their own bedroom grab your hand and say, "Hey, come see my bedroom." Yeah. There's nothing more heartwarming than that.
It is. It sounds like that. And I know that I must say that Habitat for Humanity is a partner with the city of Sanford. We should say that, of course, having all the work that you've done in our community. Can we rewind a little bit and explain the process of Habitat for Humanity?
Absolutely.
And how we get to the point of doing a dedication?
Absolutely, and thank you for that question. So what we do at Habitat for Humanity is that with our families that we qualify, we basically look at 3 different criteria for our families. The first thing that we look at is, do they have a need? And with the need, that is very broad, especially in this day and age right now. You opened up with the 1 in 7 households are paying more than half of their income. So need can be that they're living in substandard living conditions, which kind of speaks for itself. But the other thing that is also substandard is that if you are paying excessive amount of rent in relation to your income. So if you have a family that is paying over 30% of their gross monthly income, they're house poor. And what they're having to do at that point is that they're going to have to start making hard decisions on, do I pay the electric bill? Do I pay my rent, the health care for my family, or food on the table? Right. So that's obviously a very big need. Another need that we see is overcrowded conditions. because with the prices going up in Central Florida like they are, a minimum wage family must work 2.7 jobs to be able to afford the minimum rent right now.
Really?
Yes, yes. So what we're really seeing right now is that when we're talking about the need, that's really more and more of what we're seeing with families. It's not as much substandard per se as they're paying excessive amount of rent in relation to income.
So it's sort of like a bigger social issue in general, and this is housing as part of that issue.
That's correct.
And so how does Habitat for Humanity account for like serving all of these people? It sounds like there's plenty of people out there in this situation, unfortunately.
And it is, and that's a great question, because once again, like I said earlier, we're only like one part of the solution, and in the reality of it is when we get a room full of people and we have 100 people that will walk in at that time, we're going to be lucky at that time if maybe 2 of them can qualify. Because of some of the different things, need to be their credit, need to be their income, the different things like that. So in going back where they've got the need, so that goes into, and that leads right into what our second criteria is that they must have the ability to pay. One of the myths of Habitat for Humanity is that we are a giveaway program. We are not a giveaway program. Our families must qualify for a mortgage, just like you and I need to qualify for a mortgage. And what we're doing is that we're providing an affordable mortgage for families.
Right.
So what they're going to be paying for a new house or a rehabilitated house is going to be a lot less than what they're paying in rent.
Right.
And that's because of our volunteer labor, our in-kind, and the different things like that. So, but they have to be able to show us that they have viable income to be able to make this payment, because the last thing that we want to do is set families up for failure again. Which is because we're breaking that cycle all the way around, from the parents to the children, all the way.
Right. And so how do you find the actual locations in the city of Sanford, the land to build on? And that's, I guess, where the city comes in, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, there's a lot of different ways. I mean, because of the fantastic partnership that we do have with the city of Sanford, we always work together on where there are available properties, also working with in areas where maybe a house is getting ready to be condemned, the different things like that, of being able to demolish a property and rebuild a new house on that land. So it's working very closely and hand with the city of the areas and the pockets of where there is the need and where there is the availability.
Right. And specifically, you do work with the Neighborhood Engagement Department at the City of Sanford, Mr. Andrew Thomas, and working with his efforts in providing affordable housing as much as we can in the City of Sanford. So what about, I understand there's some resources, expanded resources for home production that you have, the SHIP. Is it?
Yes. So
stands for something.
Yes,
SHIP.
Yeah. SHIP is the State Housing Initiatives Partnership, and I always appreciate when somebody does that, because in doing this for 26 years, I'm very bad with acronyms and just assume that everybody knows them like I do. So I have to spell those things out. So one of the things that we've got that we always hope we have access to are these funds. And what these funds help us to do is they help us to offset down payment for families. Now, unfortunately, over the past few years, the Florida legislators have basically been taking these funds and sweeping them into general revenue. To give you just an example on where we are in the fiscal year right now, and the state fiscal year started July 1st, Seminole County should have gotten $5.5 million of SHIP funds. We got less than $600,000. So
and
nobody, even if you don't have to be good at math, to figure that one out. So
was that a big blow just this year?
No. We've been at least 10 years right now. And one of the things that we're trying to ask and advocate for is we're not going to Tallahassee and our legislators, and we're not asking for money for a project. Like a lot of things happen right now, they're in session right now. So we're not asking for more money. What we are asking for, all we're asking for is to give us and not sweep the money. So we've got this money that's sitting there. We don't want more, just don't sweep any more of the funds. That's basically the bottom line on what we're asking for. And one of these, and we've actually got some visuals and some different things through the Sadowski Housing Coalition that we can provide to legislators, is that we can show them that if we can take that $5.5 million and keep it in our community, and the funds and the money that we can leverage on top of that, because especially in Habitat world, we're very good at leveraging private public dollars.
Right. And so that $5 million, is that statewide or just?
That's just Seminole County.
That's just Seminole
County.
County.
So every county in the state of Florida is going through the exact same thing. And then your smaller communities are lucky if they're getting anything at all.
So is there anything that the listeners can do if they wanted to help advocate on behalf of?
Yep, there is. They can contact their legislators and ask them to please keep our money in our community for the SHIP funds.
Okay.
That's the bottom line. Keep our money in our community, and please don't sweep the funds into general revenue. Let's keep the money in our community.
All right. And so if they wanted to even find more about that, Kelly, what's a good way to reach you?
They can call me direct, and my phone number is 407-696-5855, extension 2101, and I'm happy to speak to anybody about this issue.
Okay. And then in addition to these, you talk about contractors that work with you. How do organizations get connected and partner with you to build a house? How does that work?
Well, what we do in that case is that we've actually got a fantastic volunteer manager that is on our staff, Emily, and Emily will work with volunteer groups, individuals, anybody to be able to get them scheduled to come out on one of our work sites. Our normal build days are Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. But if we have a large group or a group that wants to come out and maybe they're able to do it on a Tuesday, we will absolutely work with them on that. And our build days are normally from 8 to 2. One of the things that we're very proud to say with our volunteers is that you do not have to have experience to step on a Habitat site. That's what our supervisors are there for, is to teach you. And I always joke with everybody, if they let me on a site, they'll let anybody on a site. So
just give Kelly one of those hard hats. So, and that laughing in the background is Mr. Andrew Thomas, who's in the room here too, the Director of Neighborhood Engagement and Community Development for the City of Sanford. So, Andrew, hi. We heard you laughing, so now you have to say hello. What's the length of these projects? And so does it take a year? What would you say is the duration of the whole entire project from start to finish? So if a family is in need, how does that,
that's a great question, because one of the things also is that Habitat for Humanity, we are not the quick fix for families. So from the time that a family is approved, it could take anywhere from 12 to 24 months for them to be able to get into their home. And let me explain why to you is, so that last part of the puzzle, we talked about the need, we talked about the ability, then they have their willingness to partner. You and I buy a house, we're going to go in and a lender's going to say, this day and age, I want 5 or 10% cash down. Our families, what they're providing instead of cash down, they're providing what we call sweat equity. Mm-hmm. So a single adult household will do 200 hours of sweat equity. So depending on how motivated our family is, once they get to 150 hours, that's when they can choose their lot. So then the last 50 hours is construction on their own home. So it depends on the motivation of the family, on how quickly they're able to get, our requirement is 15 hours a month, because we are conscious of they're working full time. Sometimes, obviously, more than one job. Right. They're raising families. They're doing the things like that. So that's why we've set it at 15 hours. But this is their down payment. So it's one of the things with our families when we talk about not being a giveaway program, they work very, very hard for these homes. And the other thing that we require, so it's not only their sweat equity of having skin in the game, we also require that they have to save the money for their own closing costs too. So it's it's getting them into that habit of saving, and understanding the importance, because we do extensive education classes with them and helping to break the cycle. And, and it's on saving, it's on good neighbors. We do a civics class all the way across the board.
Interesting.
But we want them to understand that when this process is over, Habitat for Humanity is not your landlord. Right. You now own your home. So, your children are outside playing and they break the back window of the house. Habitat's not coming in to fix that for you. You're going to need to be able to fix that on your own. So that's why we're teaching them all of the things that they need to be a successful homeowner.
Wonderful. And so could you have more than one build in the same city going on at the same time?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
As we like to say right now, in Sanford, we are doing two. They're side by side. And then we're doing a big project in Apopka. And we've been doing what we strive for a year is that we strive to complete 12 homes, which for an affiliate and organization our size, that's very good. Because with us, it's, we've got to have the families. Then we have to have the talent. We have to have the land. We have to have the money. So there's all those things that intertwine.
Yeah. And speaking of having the families and the land, do you have to have children? Is this
Absolutely
your number?
not.
So that's not it's just if you qualify.
All you have to be is over the 18 or older to be able to sign a legal contract.
Okay. All right. That definitely includes a lot of people than just families. So what about, I have a note here about expanding access to land for affordable housing impact fees.
Oh yeah, that's one of my hot topics. And with this one is every time I know that when I do start talking about this, I know I'm opening a can of worms, but I'm okay with that. We've got in the state of Florida, it's basically a tax. And what we have to do is that we have to pay to our communities, and it's called an impact fee. And what that is that that's basically for some infrastructure costs and different things like that. And in some communities, it costs us anywhere from $20,000 to $35,000 before we even turn the first thing of dirt. So there is some legislation there that says that communities can go in and they can determine how they can pay for these things. So they're saying that you can do a waiver, but the money has to come from somewhere. Mm-hmm. So what we're looking for is that we're looking for some type of legislation or something to be able to send back to communities that says, okay, so you can provide for an affordable housing project, you can give a 75% waiver, and this is where the money can be diverted from.
Okay.
That's very general right now because it is honestly, Lisa, it is a work in progress. Mm-hmm. So, but what that will allow us to do is that's going to allow us to open access to land and be able to keep things where it's more affordable. Because if it costs you $30,000 before you've even started the construction of the home,
right,
you're kind of defeating what you're trying to do to be able to keep it affordable for families.
And so how does the Habitat for Humanity fund themselves outside of this state funding?
Donors. We work with large corporations. We work with churches, government funding, obviously.
Right.
So one of the things that I do, from the federal, state, and local level all the way down, individuals, in-kind donations. So it's kind of across the board. We also, here in Sanford, we also have our Habitat for Humanity Restore on Americana Boulevard. And what the Restore does is that we actually sell gently used items in our Restores. And what our Restores do for us is that they help us to fund our mission also, is what they do. So anybody ever gets a chance, stop by. You can find some great deals in our Restore.
Been in there before, and I've bought some artwork.
Yep.
Andrew, did you want to say something if you were?
Yes. No, actually, I was going to ask Kelly if she would expound a little bit more on the impact fees, because when we run into problems, if there's an existing house, then you can claim credits for an existing house. But if we're doing development, then that's a different situation, and that's where we get into the impact fees.
That is exactly right.
And that makes it difficult if we don't have houses and lots that are donated where there was a pre-existing unit.
Yeah.
Then it's hard to build an affordable house on undeveloped land.
Okay.
In the city. So Kelly, could you say a little bit more about that, please?
That was actually like right on right there. So, so with these ones where I had said earlier, where we can get in and we get a house that was already on there's a footprint donated, we demolish it, then we have very minimal fees. I mean, it's less than $500 because then it's like, the water and the different things like that.
Already there.
That's right. But we also want to be able to do these properties where we're doing what you call in construction world infill lots that maybe have never had a structure on it. Because at the end of the day, and being able to do that, what that does is that's also helping the community, because you've had this vacant piece of land that's been sitting there. Now we've got all these impact fees we have to put in it. So let's say we can go ahead and we can get it constructed. It turns around, and this is back on the tax base for communities. So they're still getting the money to be able to help. we're getting to where in Seminole County, it's getting harder and harder for us to be able to actually build new construction in Seminole County for these reasons that we're talking about today. Not only land is drying up, but then when there is the land that's available, if there was never a structure, we have these exuberant fees that we have to pay.
Yeah.
So we've got to get something in place that helps. And it's not just helping in the habitat world. Like I said, habitat, we're not the only game in town in providing affordable housing. It's for any developer that's trying to provide legitimate affordable housing for families that are under 80% of the median income.
Right. Okay. Anything else?
Yeah. And I'd also ask Kelly if you would speak to a minute. So, because I think some people think when you talk about affordable housing that you're not getting quality housing.
Okay.
You know, and though we call it affordable, I mean, talk about the quality of the housing, because I'd go a step further and say it's more than building houses, because we're building communities.
Right.
You know, and the service that go along with the building of the house and the sweat equity that goes into it is really to create a foundation for the family when you're breaking a cycle.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. And thank you for that, Andrew, because it is part of the thing of being able to build community. But, another one, and, I'm going to go to the technical side a little bit on this off of something that you said, so we are talking about, because Andrew hit it, when you hear affordable housing, people are like, oh, that's the neighborhood I don't want to drive in after dark. We're workforce housing. And what people need to understand, the families and the people that we are serving in this, you are talking about your first-time teachers, first-time nurses, first-time police officers. Mm-hmm. It's not just, everybody over here that you automatically think just doesn't have money.
Right.
There's this huge gap in the middle of people that cannot afford. So in being able to serve the community and build the community, that's why the need is just so big in the area, because people don't take into who it actually is. It's our service workers.
Right, and they're all noble professions.
Do you want to go and change your own oil?
I did
I
it
don't.
the other day.
So, but it's our service workers.
Yeah.
Getting our hair done.
Yeah.
That are working hard to provide for their families. They deserve decent housing just like everybody does.
Right.
Whether it be home ownership or rental.
Right. Right, and so we thank Habitat for Humanity for stepping up. And it's been how many years has the organization been in business?
Our affiliate has been here since 1991.
1991.
Serving our community, yes.
And you have an executive director?
Our executive director is Penny Cedar, that's been with us over 10 years. So we've got a pretty good staff here at Habitat in Seminole and Greater Apopka. We've been together for a little while, so.
And I know I've seen you at City Hall many times, Kelly.
Oh, yes, I'm here often. I was here yesterday.
And so we're looking forward to this dedication, correct? You want to repeat some of
Yep, the dedication, and the address is 1616 West 3rd Street here in Sanford, and it will be February 20th at 5:30 p.m.
And that's open to the public?
Open to the public. The more the merrier.
And so we would encourage folks to come out and listen, after listening to this podcast, learn about Habitat for Humanity. And people can find out more information from a website, I'm sure?
Yep, our website is Seminoleapopka.org. All
right. Any last words, Kelly, that you'd like to say?
I just want to say thank you for allowing me to be here. Sure. And I always want to thank Andrew and the city of Sanford for the fantastic partnership, because it's very nice to work with a municipality that gets it. Honestly, and really is trying to make a difference in their community and for their residents. So we just want to say thank you on behalf of our families and Habitat.
Okay. Wonderful. Andrew?
And can I ask, before you stop, Kelly, can you also share with them other ways they can participate and support Habitat? I'm thinking about the gala now, okay?
Thanks. See, Andrew, this is the partnership that we've got, the great partnership. So, it's always donations, it's time, it's things like that. But then in the fall of every year that we are actually looking to move to the city of Sanford also. I'm telling you, we love Sanford. In November of each year, we have our annual gala of Raise the Roof. And this is a way for people to be able to get involved and, buy tables. The other thing that we've actually got going on right now, thank you, Andrew, is our Women Build program. And we have done the kickoff for that. However, you can reach out to me with the number I provided earlier, and you can sign up as a Women Build team. It does not have to be all women. Okay, men are allowed,
Okay.
and we will actually be constructing a house. We're going to be doing in Apopka and Oviedo in our area, and with the women teams come out, they raise money, and then they get to come out and actually build houses for families. So I'm happy to give information about that.
Okay, can you repeat that phone number again?
It
please?
is 407-696-5855, extension 2101.
All right. Well, that sounds like a fun event
It's a
too.
great- it is
actually,
great.
and to help our community and help people.
Absolutely.
Can't go wrong with that. That's Kelly Pisciotta, the Chief Operating Officer for Habitat for Humanity of Seminole-Apopka. Thank you for being on the show, and Andrew Thomas, Director of Neighborhood Engagement for the City of Sanford. This is Lisa Holder, Communications Officer. Thank you for listening to Sanford Says. You can subscribe to this podcast anywhere that you listen to podcasts and on the city website at sanfordfl.gov. Thank you and have a great day.